Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Hakim channel. Hope everyone's doing well. This is a very special video. This is something that I've been looking forward to since the Club World Cup was announced and that Seattle is going to be playing in this tournament. So this video, we're going to preview the entire tournament, I guess just the group stage, and then once the knockout stage happens, we can do another prediction for that because it's too complicated to do the math right now. So we'll just pick two teams from each group that we think, or I think, is going to make it out. If you disagree with me, please let me know. I'm not a soccer expert. I am just a fan. I don't really watch a majority of these teams. As you know from me on the channel, we cover Bundesliga, so I know Dortmund and Bayern very well. Of course, I know Seattle very well. Been watching the Sounders since I was 13, 14 years old, 2014. So I know the Sounders very, very well. Obviously, they're my favorite team, and I want them to do well in this tournament. Before we get too deep into this video, though, because this might be a monster video, I have no idea. This is just raw, non-scripted content. Like, I'm just gonna talk. But before we get into it, if you are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe, bottom right hand corner, smash the like button as well. Make sure you follow me on my social media handles. At Hakim is the Twitter, at @Hakim is the Instagram, and Tickety Talk. If you want to get merch, join the Discord, or make a donation, all links are going to be in the video description. I also would like to share, I'm going to do my best, because I do work in the summer, I'm going to do my best. And I am taking a summer class for school, so bear with me. I'll do my best to go live throughout this entire FIFA Club World Cup tournament, as well as the CONCACAF Gold Cup. So I'll do my best to cover USA when I can. Obviously, I'm going to do my best to cover Dortmund and Bayern on the channel. We'll see about the Seattle games if I choose to cover those or not, because you'll see the group that they're in. I don't know if the games are going to be good at all, but we'll for sure do my best to cover Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich throughout this entire tournament. Before we get into the fun stuff with the predicting and what I think is going to happen, and if you have no interest in this first part that we're going to talk about, then you can just skip ahead to the second half of this video. But it's come to my attention, and the Seattle Sounders did a bit of a informal protest before the game. What was it, June the 1st? It was Sunday, June 1st, the game against Minnesota United. They decided to do a protest over the amount of money they were going to be receiving from the FIFA Club World Cup. So the winning team in the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup could earn a maximum of $125 million. This is part of a total prize pool of $1 billion. So the total prize money is $1 billion. The winning team gets $40 million. The runner-up gets $30 million. Group stage, $2 million per win, $1 million per draw. If you make it to the round of 16, that's an additional $7.5 million. Quarterfinals, $13.125 million. Semifinals, $21 million. Solidarity payments, an additional $250 million is distributed to non-participating clubs. I'm not sure what that's all about, but that is the breakdown in terms of how much teams would get if they won and advanced to the further on in the tournament. And as far as my understanding goes about how international teams outside of North America, or at least outside of Major League Soccer, how they handle the money is it's 50-50. So 50% goes to the owner, 50% goes to the player pool, and then the players split that amongst themselves. But for when it comes to Major League Soccer and the current CBA, players are capped at $1 million. So no matter how far Inter Miami, Seattle Sounders, LAFC, go into this tournament. I showed you or told you that, each win you get 2 million per win, 1 million per draw, etc., and so on. No matter how much money they make, they're capped at 1 million. And that 1 million isn't per player, as I originally thought. They're like, oh, it's not bad. No, that's $1 million split amongst the whole player pool. So like 28, 30 players or so have to split $1 million, regardless of how well the team does. So essentially you have a 90-10 split of that 9 million that you get for just being in the tournament. It's a 90-10 split. 90% goes to the owner, 10% goes to the players. And that is why the Seattle Sounders players had that protest Sunday before the Minnesota United game. And it's drawn lots of attention to it. And I do want to show you guys a clip from the show on ESPN Plus called Futbol Americas, or Futbol Americas is how they like to call it. That is probably my favorite soccer show that I do watch on ESPN. Also, ESPN FC does a really good job too. But I love it. Let's take a listen to this clip. It's kind of a longer clip. I'll probably cut it up, but let's give it a listen.
Taking opportunities in a warm-up, you can protest if you want. Just ask Seattle Sounders players who warmed up in shirts with a message, quote, "Club World Cash Grab," and quote, "fair share now" to protest their bonuses in the upcoming Club World Cup. Sounders, like all CWC participants, earned the $9.5 million, but the protest is due.
I gotta say, how nice are those shirts, by the way? Those are from whoever designed it, gets an A+ from me. Those are great shirts.
Due to the Major League Soccer collective bargaining agreement, which would only allow MLS players to earn 50% of the money from outside tournament. Jeff, what's the latest from the Players Association with this?
Well, the Players Association understandably feels very hard done by, and here's why. MLS has come to them on a number of issues to try to rework the CBA, whether it was the internal transfer market or it was the roster rules around the number of DPs and U22 players. It was about the calendar. And the union feels that they have always met the league more than halfway. They have agreed to have these talks. They've reached agreement on a few things. The only one, in fact, that they didn't agree on was the calendar. And that was due to the league deciding that they were going to back out. So the one time that the union goes to MLS and says, hey, let's rework this, and it's dragging on. I'm told that there are talks. I'm told that there will continue to be talks. The union is expecting to get a proposal from the league about how these bonuses are going to be distributed. If not by the end of this week, then the beginning of next week. So there is that expectation. And there's also the added wrinkle that sources tell me that LAFC did get a bonus for beating Club America in that playoff. So you can be encouraged by that something is going to be worked out, or you can be discouraged and say, why didn't the league get all of its ducks in a row and have everybody figured out in terms of what they were going to get. But the league is, they're pointing to the CBA saying, hey, it's spelled out right there. It's not an ancient CBA. It's not a delay of any kind. But the players feel like circumstances have changed. We should be getting a little bit more of our fair share. So I think in the end an agreement will be reached, but we'll see if it's one everybody can live with.
There's just so much to unpack here. Do you see Messi and Luis Suarez and Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets and the rest of his friends wearing those cash grab jerseys?
No, I didn't.
Did you see LAFC before the Club America with the same cash grab T-shirts? No. So for the MLSPA to come out and say this is the way they all feel, that's BS. That's BS. That's not the way they feel. And this is typical MLSPA. Now, I understand both sides here. I understand feeling that you can outperform a contract. I understand seeing that, well, this Club World Cup that was in this CBA was 8 teams, and now you have this one that's expanded, and it's got a $130 million payout. There should be fair share. I understand that. I understand Adrian Hanover, the owner of the Seattle Sounders, coming down to the locker room and being angry at the players for the Seattle Sounders and wearing these T-shirts. I understand both sides. You signed a contract. I understand that.
That's another thing I do want to point out. When the Sounders players did do this protest, as my boy Herculez Gomez said, the owner of the Seattle Sounders, Adrian Hanauer, went to the locker room and apparently berated the players, yelled profanity at them for doing this formal protest. Really rubbed me the wrong way. I just, as an owner of a franchise, I just don't think that's a proper way to treat your players. But I'll let Herc continue.
But this is typical of MLSPA, typical of Bob Foose, who's been there since the beginning. When I was a player, he was there with the leadership. Players would moan, and they would complain, and they would still go with the same leader, and nothing happened. And here we are, fast forward 10 years later, and nothing has changed, and nothing will continue to change. Because if you want to achieve something, you do it together. You don't do it by yourself. So the Seattle Sounders going out there and trying to fight for what's theirs, I applaud you, Seattle Sounders. I wish Messi and friends, I wish Denny Buanga and friends, I wish those players who make that money felt the same way you do. And until they do, until all parties feel the same way, that it has to be equal, and are willing to give up something for it to be equal, nothing is going to change. And you know who understands that? You know who understands that? Major League Soccer, Don Garber and the owners. They understand that. That's why nothing has happened and nothing will happen. They may give you crumbs here and there to shut up, but that's about it.
Shaq?
I'll be honest. I'm really not sure what to make of it all. Listen, for me, at the crux of this is a MLS League and Players Association discussion around the CBA. Outside of that, I'm not sure why the players, certainly in this instance, the players from one team are getting this involved in it. This is about an existing CBA and how do you rework that and the timelines around that. Outside of that, I'm not sure that players should be involved. Certainly not to this capacity in terms of affecting that.
It's interesting that you put LAFC and Inter Miami in the mix when it feels like they were kind of forced into the Club World Cup mix a little bit. No? Isn't that the discussion that we've had in the past few weeks? You look surprised.
Well, I'm putting them in the mix because MLSPA spoke for all players in Major League Soccer, and they represent Major League Soccer.
Right. But what I'm kind of seeing from the outside in is that I don't want to say one has the right to complain and the others don't, because everybody has a right to complain.
To voice your opinion, yeah.
But Seattle freely won this on the field. I know what LAFC did, and they were supposed to go anyway because Leon wasn't going, and they were supposed to go in their place. And Inter Miami, it was just kind of popped out of the air that the Shield winners were going to go to the Club World Cup. But Seattle really kind of
Well, I would argue
won
Seattle.
an international tournament.
I would argue Seattle had this drop into their laps as well. There wasn't 4 years ago that they said, hey, by the way, next year's winner, 4 years from now, will present your confederation, your team at the Club World Cup. They made up this tournament. They said, well, how do we fill out the rest of the tournament or the rest of the participants? Well, why don't just give it to whoever won in 2023 and 2022? Let's do that. So I would argue that as well. What I'm trying to say here is,
I love you, Herc. That is a bad take by Herculez Gomez. I don't agree with that at all. Saying that the Sounders just kind of fell on their lap is a bit ridiculous. They actually won the CONCACAF Champions League in, 2022? And by that logic, you would say that every team in this Club World Cup, besides the 2024 winners of each region, technically had this fall on their lap. I mean, you can make that same argument. So like that, I mean, what, only 8 teams could say they didn't qualify for this tournament, or that they did actually qualify for this tournament. So I don't get that argument that Herculez is trying to make. Seattle actually won the Club World Cup, earned the right to be in this tournament. Inter Miami, let's be honest, folks, and I don't BS with you on this channel. The only reason why Inter Miami is in this tournament is because of Lionel Messi. That's literally the only reason why. and then LAFC get in because apparently Leon had some roster, broke the rules, something happened with them. Let's pick a team from Mexico, let's pick a team from the US, 1 game playoff, LAFC's in it. They were handed it. LAFC, yes, they had to win a game, but they were gifted an opportunity to win 1 game to get in. Seattle had to do 2-legged series the entire way to win the Club World Cup. So I don't like that take at all. I'll let them finish. There's only a minute left in this clip.
The MLSPA speaks up for all Major League Soccer players, but not all Major League Soccer players care about this or want to be spoken for.
Right.
So they're talking about the Seattle Sounder players. Well, that should include Inter Miami. That should include LAFC, and I didn't see that. I've not heard one player for LAFC or one player for Inter Miami voice their opinions on how this money should be shared.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. The MLSPA going about this the wrong way again. Because if they really wanted to enact change, we would have seen Messi wearing that shirt. We would have seen Denny Bwanga wearing that shirt. That's enacting change.
Yeah, absolutely. That really would have sent a big message, especially when it comes to the Club World Cup and everything surrounding it.
So that was the video, and then to kind of make this point and make this case, I guess, for Seattle. So this is the Club World Cup prize distribution. This is directly from the MLSPA Twitter account. So as I mentioned, the typical prize distribution is 50% MLS players and then 50% goes to MLS owners. The Club World Cup prize distribution, as you can see, it's that 90-10 split, 90% MLS, 10% MLS players. And that's just for being in the tournament, that 90-10 split. It gets even worse as, let's say, I know this won't happen, but let's hypothetically say Seattle, LA, Inter Miami, one of those teams ends up winning this tournament. That would be the split, 99% to 1%. Here's another graphic. FIFA is giving each MLS team a minimum of $9.55 million for participating in the Club World Cup. MLS has only offered players a fixed amount of $1 million regardless of the team's performance. Equates to a maximum share of barely 10% of what FIFA will pay. Between the 3 participating teams, MLS will receive a minimum of $28.65 million, while players would currently receive only $3 million combined. An MLS team could reach a maximum prize of $97.175 million, with players still capped at $1 million. Fair hashtag fair share now. And I understand the argument that I guess Herculez and the people on Futbol Americas were saying is that, well, look, the Players Union, the Players Association, you signed that CBA. That isn't like a CBA from 10 years ago. I believe it was from a year ago, or it was pretty recent, 2 years ago. It was a pretty recent CBA, and it clearly states that you can only take home $1 million for the players. So you signed the contract, you agreed to it, like, stop whining and go home. It's kind of that argument. The Sounders' argument is, look at other teams around the world. How is it fair that other teams, the PSG, the Botafogo, Dortmund, Bayern, those players get 50% of the cut, but us being, on the Seattle Sounders, we're only going to get, that 10%, $1 million that we have to share no matter what we do. And since this isn't MLS tournament, this is a FIFA tournament, so it's extra games that the players have to play for the Seattle Sounders on the schedule. They could get injured. Maybe someone has a season-ending injury. It's more wear and tear on their bodies, and they're not getting compensated for that at all. It's like they're in this tournament, I don't want to say for free, because they are still getting $1 million, I suppose, but when you look at the prize pool of what teams are getting, other teams are going to get, and their players, what the other teams' players are going to get, it's not fair for the Seattle Sounders, or Inter Miami, or LAFC. Another great point that Herculez mentioned, and that I also noticed, was, okay, Seattle made the stand on Sunday. I was sort of waiting for Inter Miami and LAFC players to do something about this and make a protest or do something online, make a video. But we haven't seen that. To my knowledge, Inter Miami don't seem too bothered by this. LAFC don't seem too bothered. And I understand Lionel Messi and the Barca boys, I think is what people call them, they have so much money, they probably don't even care about it. Denny Mwanga and friends at LAFC, Olivier Giroud, Hugo Lloris, they probably don't give a shit at all. The Seattle Sounders don't have that caliber of player on their team. A lot of the players on the Seattle Sounders are homegrown, came up from Tacoma, or are just kind of middle of the road MLS players. We don't have a Denny Mwanga, Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, even though he's been sort of linked to Seattle. That's not going to happen, but I think it's funny that he's been linked to Seattle. We don't have that type of player. So a tournament like this is massive for guys on the Seattle Sounders who don't make as much as Lionel Messi. This would be huge for their futures, for their families. You know, they actually, as I mentioned, earned their spot in this tournament. They should get a fair share of the pot of money that FIFA and the tournament is providing for the players. They should get a fair share of that, at least 50% that the other teams are getting. And I won't make us watch the Seattle Sounders players' interviews, but they mentioned, I think Christian Roldan mentioned that they have been Zoom calls with Inter Miami, with LAFC regarding this, but the fact that Seattle is the only team to publicly do something about this is concerning for me and makes me think that nothing is going to happen. Another point that I do want to make, Christian Roldan was asked after like a practice this past week, he was asked that will you guys potentially maybe sit out of the FIFA Club World Cup if you don't reach an agreement with MLS. And the crazy thing about Christian Roldan's answer, he kind of danced around it, but he didn't say no. He didn't say, no, we're not going to sit out. We're going to play. He said, we'll see. He kind of left it off a cliffhanger. And so, as much as I think that's a great way to take a stand, at the same time, it's like, think of the opportunity that you have been presented with this Club World Cup. Not only are you in this tournament, you're hosting it in the city of Seattle. You have probably, I know the goal is to win this tournament, but I think it's great that Seattle got PSG, Atletico, and Botafogo in their group. Those are insanely popular teams. PSG just won the Champions League, so it's a great way to get eyeballs from a worldwide audience on the Seattle Sounders. Maybe teams get to see Obed Vargas for the first time and we can sell Obed for an insane price. Maybe teams are interested in Pedro de la Vega and want to see Pedro de la Vega play. So it's a great way for a lot of our young stars on this team to get recognition on a worldwide stage, and maybe we can make some money off of them in the future by selling them. But I guess to kind of wrap this up, my take on this is I'm obviously with the players. I think that's ridiculous, the 90-10 splits that they're getting. Like, I don't think that's fair. I think you at home would agree that's not fair. I understand the argument that, well, they signed the CBA, but when they signed the CBA, this tournament, the prize pool, we didn't know that. We didn't know how much money was going to be in this tournament. So to me, it just change the CBA. Like, I don't understand what the big deal is. Why can't MLS just change the CBA to fix the allotted money that players get in MLS? It's very frustrating. Because I'm also thinking about future tournaments, because this will happen again, and there's going to be another MLS team that will win the CONCACAF Champions Cup, who will be in this tournament, and the teams of the future, because this is still going to be an issue, and hopefully the next CBA that comes along, they can sort this out. But I do agree, I have no problem with the Sounders doing the shirts and the protests and everything. I would have a problem if they did choose to sit out. I personally wouldn't like that at all. I still think they should play and do their best, of course. But when you look at it from an employment standpoint, if you went to a job and you weren't getting paid extra for your work, like if you worked overtime and you didn't get paid overtime, would you show up to do overtime? Probably not. So I get why the players would want to sit out, but it's such a tremendous opportunity for the city of Seattle and the fan base to be recognized on a stage like this and to kind of celebrate our CONCACAF Champions League win that we had in 2022. So it's just a sticky situation, and I hope something can get worked out. And I'm 100% with the players on this, but if they do decide to sit out, I would be disappointed. I wouldn't be mad at them. I totally understand, but I wouldn't. I'd be sad, right? Because you want to see your team in this tournament. It's going to be a fun tournament. I think that's everything I want to touch on with the Club World Cup with the Seattle Sounders. Let me know your thoughts. If you are with the players of the Sounders, are you with the MLS and owners, and do you agree with Herculez Gomez, his take, and Shaka's take on this from Futbol Americas? A bit concerning that an ex-player doesn't side with the players, and that the owner of the team yelled at the players for the protest, and that Brian Schmetzer hasn't backed up his players too, the head coach of the Sounders. That's also concerning. So we'll see what the locker room chemistry is like heading into this tournament. At time of filming, they do play a game this weekend, so we'll see how that goes. But very interesting dynamic and situation here, and I hope everything gets sorted out. But let's move on from this. Let's move on to the fun stuff. Let us take a look at each group, and we are going to pick 2 teams from each group that I think will advance into the knockout rounds, and then we'll of course do a separate video for the knockout rounds once those get determined. Okay, so let's start with Group A. We have Palmeiras, FC Porto, Al Ahly, and Inter Miami. I believe Inter Miami and Al Ahly are kicking off this tournament on Saturday, I think, the 13th, 12th, 13th, something like that. Palmeiras, a team I don't know much about. FC Porto, I know Bruno Fernandes, I think, came from FC Porto in Portugal. Al Ahly is the team that the Sounders lost to when they went to the Club World Cup. I think that was 23. And of course, Inter Miami. Definitely a winnable group, or at least a group that Inter Miami could get out of. Based on recent and past performances from Inter Miami this season, I don't think they're going to get out of this group. I think this could be an embarrassment for Lionel Messi and the Barca boys. I think they will get embarrassed. It hasn't been a horrible season for Inter Miami, but some of the losses they've had this year have been really, really poor and terrible losses, and the frustration of Lionel Messi he's shown a lot of frustration with Inter Miami. And it's an old team. It is such an old team. You can't win football games with an aging roster like that. Like, it's unbelievable. There's so many old people on Inter Miami, like in their 30s, mid-30s, upper 30s. Like, it just doesn't work. You need guys who can run and be dynamic. They just don't have a lot of that with Inter Miami. I'm going to go... Don't sleep on Al Ahly. Really, no. I'm going to go Al Ahly first. I do think Al Ahly will be first. And then I'll go FC Porto second. Palmeiras third. Inter Miami fourth. My expert opinion. I respect Al Ahly. They're Egyptian kings. Egyptian giants. Group B. Should we do this one last since it's Seattle? Let's do this one last since it's Seattle. Group C, here we go. We have Bayern Munich, Auckland City, Boca Juniors and Benfica. This is actually a very fun group. Boca Juniors, I think that's where Nico Ladero came from the Seattle Sounders. Came from Boca to the Seattle Sounders. Auckland City, I think, are one of the worst teams in this tournament. So I'm going to go Auckland in 4th place. I think it's going to be between Benfica and Bayern. I'm going to go Bayern first in this group. And then I don't want to sleep on Boca Juniors, though. Boca Juniors is a very good team as well. I'll go Benfica, though. I think it'll be tight, but I'll go Benfica second. So Bayern and Benfica out of Group C. Group D, this is an interesting group. You got Flamenco, Esperance de Tunisie, I think that's how you say it, Chelsea, and then LAFC. Ooh, I think you gotta go Chelsea first. I just don't see how they couldn't win this group. And then, I don't know, Flamenco, I have no idea the Tunisia team. I'll put my hand up. I have no idea. Flamenco is a team that I think could be dangerous, so I think I'll put them second and then LAFC third. Tunisia fourth. Someone in the comments section let me know about that team. I just don't know much. Then we have River Plate, the Urwana Red Diamonds, CF Monterrey, and then Inter Milan. Inter trying to make up for the PSG loss. It's got to be Inter. Inter will be first, and then I think it'll be between Monterrey and River Plate for second. I respect Monterrey, but I think River Plate will take second. So I'm going to go River Plate second in Group E, Inter Milan and River Plate. Group F, we have Fluminense, Borussia Dortmund, Ulsan HD. I guess their team plays in high definition. And then the Sundowns FC. It's Dortmund. I don't know how Dortmund could not win this. Borussia Dortmund, though, didn't really have the best season in the Bundesliga this year. I just don't see how they couldn't win this group, though. So I have to go Dortmund 1. Fluminense second. I guess I'll go Fluminense second. I think it'll be a toss-up between all three of those. Group G, you got Manchester City, Wydad AC, Al Ain FC, and then Juventus FC. I think this is a pretty straightforward group. I think you're going to have City and Juventus going through. We'll go City 1, Juventus 2. Group H, you have Real Madrid, Al Hilal, Pachuca, and then Salzburg. This is a very interesting group. These teams, don't sleep on Salzburg. Don't sleep on Pachuca. Al Hilal, very good side. And then, of course, Real Madrid. I'll go Real Madrid 1. This is going to be a tight group. Pachuca has momentum. They have momentum. I believe they won the Liga MX championship a couple weeks ago, Pachuca. So I'll go Pachuca. We'll go Pachuca. Coming in at 2. Also, let's finish Group B and then I'll share my point. So Group B, we have PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, the Champions League winners. Atletico Madrid, Botafogo, and Seattle Sounders. As much and as my heart wants me to say Seattle Sounders will advance out of this group, I think we have a real chance of also being embarrassed, just like Inter Miami. We don't have a real striker on Seattle. We have a hard time scoring goals in MLS. What makes you think we're going to score a goal against PSG, Atletico, and Botafogo? The saving grace, though, and I guess I can touch on this now, a lot of these teams, their season just ended. So how seriously are teams going to be in this tournament? Will coaches put out their first team? Will they put out their B team or C team? PSG, will they play all their starters from Champions League? Probably not. Same with Atletico and Botafogo. You don't know. You don't know how seriously the European teams and then the European giants, if they're going to take it seriously or not. I still think you could put PSG C team, and I think they'd mop the floor with the Seattle Sounders. Don't get me wrong. but that's like their only saving grace, is that, you know, these teams don't take it seriously. So I'll go PSG first, and then Botafogo, man, they're a good side. But I think I gotta go Atletico. I think it'll be PSG Atletico. Botafogo third, and then Sounders fourth. Honestly, I'll be happy if we can score more than 1 goal in 3 of the games. And maybe if we can get a draw out of 1 of the games. I'd be very pleased about that. Who knows? Maybe when we play PSG in the 3rd game of Group B, PSG's already advanced. Maybe we could beat them or get a draw, because they're not taking it seriously because they already advanced out of the group. That could happen as well. But yeah, those are my predictions for this FIFA Club World Cup. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I don't think it's going to be pretty for us Seattle Sounders fans, but if they do decide to play, the players do, it will be a very, very fun watch, in my opinion. And as I mentioned before, we will be live on this channel I'll do my best, because I mentioned I have school and work. So if it works out, Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich, live on the channel. And I'll think about doing the Sounders games, but we'll see. We'll see if it's worth doing the Sounders games. That'll be an in-the-moment decision for me. And then also, if you are a soccer fan, we will cover Team USA in their Gold Cup quest when I can. We'll also sprinkle those in as well. So we're kind of following 2 tournaments on the channel. So make sure you do subscribe. Tell your friends and family that we're doing a fun summer of soccer watch-along videos, everything, the whole shebang. So, and that's basically it. The majority of this video is probably going to be about the Seattle Sounders financial dispute. But that's okay. I just appreciate you guys watching. If you did enjoy this, smash a like on the video. And we'll see you soon, hopefully for an upcoming watch-along for the FIFA Club World Cup. Should be a good one. Speak to you soon.